Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of NASCAR Heat 4 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today's a special episode. We have the double with both the Cup Series and Formula 1 here for the Coca-Cola 600 weekend. But first of all, we have Saturday's events. We had subscriber Blake Shives in the car here for us, and obviously we've been showing a lot more speed in this car with this team recently within the last, 3 to 4 races, so hopefully we can continue to build on that. And actually Blake Shives had come through now past the midway point in this race, and he would be able to climb his way up towards the top 10 position. We still haven't gotten a top 10 this season, but now on the final lap down the back straightaway, he was battling side by side with the 9 car of Noah Gragson for that 10th position as it came through turns 3 and turn 4, and Blake would be able to get in front of Noah Gragson down the front straightaway. Gragson, he had tried to battle back, but he didn't quite have enough as Blake Shives would come through to get our team our first top 10 of the season and of our whole team's career. So now you see the finishing order. Now it was time to come to Sunday's events here in the Monaco Grand Prix for the first race of the double. Obviously, next up, the Coca-Cola 600. So we're just going to do kind of a quick view of what happened here in Formula 1 as you see the starting grid on your screen at this point coming into this race. It was Lewis Hamilton and his teammate Valtteri Bottas on the front row. Then we had my favorite driver of Sebastian Vettel, and then his teammate Charles Leclerc in P3 and 4. There you see I was actually starting up there in P6. So it was a very strong qualifying effort. I had the AI turned up to 105, I think it was, and I was surprised by how well we qualified with 105. So hopefully, though, we can have a very strong effort here today in the first race for the double here in Monaco. Our first Formula 1 race, at least on a part of our NASCAR Heat 4 career mode. So we would get ready to go green here. At this point, we were at the end of the formation lap. On the grid now, it was Hamilton and Bottas 1-2 now, as it is 5 red lights, and the double is now underway as it's lights out. We are green here on the Monaco Grand Prix. A little bit of a slide there on the start as we go down towards turns 1, and it was Max Verstappen who overtook me into the corner, and then we had Sergio Perez in the racing point putting the pressure on me as well now as we exit turn 1 heading up the hill. And Perez, he's getting very aggressive, and I decide, you know what, you can have the position. I don't want to be that guy and coming in for a one-off race this whole season and getting in other drivers' ways or at least messing them up. So we were trying to at least keep it as clean as possible here so we don't cause any trouble for these full-time drivers on the Formula 1 roster. There's behind us, it was Lando Norris, who one of my top drivers as well in Formula 1. He has an incredible personality, but we came through now out of the final corner, heading down the front straightaway to complete this first and opening lap of the Monaco Grand Prix. I only did a 25% race for this, so it was only 20 laps, so we come to lap 3 at this point. DRS had been enabled. Unfortunately, at this point in time, I wasn't within DRS range of Perez there as we come through now on lap 4, a lap later, just making sure I don't make any stupid mistakes as we came through the penultimate corner, heading down into the final corner. Norris still behind me, but I was actually starting to put a little bit of a gap there on Norris as I actually had a lot of oversteer there on the exit of the final corner. Nearly put it right into the wall, but we came through now on lap 6, and I had come into the pit lane to make our first and only pit stop of this Grand Prix, hopefully. At least, obviously, we're on the soft tire right now, but coming in to put on the yellow medium tire, a fairly solid pit stop from the crew now as we get going. They actually had a bit of an issue actually getting going, something with the gears it said on my screen. I couldn't remember. That was actually the first time in the game I had an issue getting out of my pit box other than when the AI are obviously passing by on the pit lane, but we come back out onto the track with no issues at this point. P20, of course, waiting for everything to cycle out, but I like at Monaco to be by myself during the pit cycle. Obviously, it makes it a lot easier instead of having to deal with traffic, so we come through now on lap 8. Some drivers had started to make their pit stops. Perez still in front of me at this point. We actually had started to run Perez down as we climbed back up into the top 10, into P9 to be exact, as there was a car up ahead of this pack that was kind of off the pace, probably had wing damage, and it looked like it might have been either a Mercedes or a Ferrari that was holding everyone up. So we come through now on lap 15, hitting just 5 laps to go at this point here in Monaco as we went down towards the first corner, running P8 pretty much this whole race when the pit cycle wasn't happening, but now at this point trying to put the pressure on Sergio Perez as we were closing in on the final laps. And now we were approaching just 2 laps to go, getting the DRS on the front straightaway, but I didn't quite have a good enough of an exit to be able to put the pressure on Sergio. I had to be right on his gearbox if I wanted to be able to make a move down that front straightaway with the DRS, and unfortunately I wasn't quite there. And the same thing coming to the white flag. This is so close we were to Sergio, and unfortunately I just didn't quite have enough. There's a bunch of oversteer on the exit of turn 1, being really aggressive as I could on this final lap, hoping that maybe we can try and catch Sergio off guard and see if we can make a move here on this final lap now in the Monaco Grand Prix. Getting through this first sector pretty decent now as we head down towards the corner. He goes a little bit defensive, and that helps me close right up to him, actually just about getting into the back of his gearbox. Now as we come to the very slow hairpin down to almost 20 miles per hour as we go down through that left-hander. Now as Norris, he's still behind us. He ran P9 with this whole race. Being a 25% race definitely doesn't allow a lot more strategy to happen, so it kept it pretty straightforward for us here today in Monaco. But unfortunately through the tunnel down towards the little bus stop chicane, just didn't have the speed that we needed to stick with Perez down into there, so we couldn't quite make a move, and now pretty much just have to hope that Perez makes a mistake, or we can try and lick the stamp and send it maybe into the final corner, as it was obviously Lewis Hamilton winning the Monaco Grand Prix. Now as you head down through this final sector, nearly getting into the barrier, as you head down into the penultimate corner, close to Perez, right up on his gearbox. Now as we look to the right hand side, but I decide better of it and not to make that move because he was already closing the door and I knew it was going to cause a collision. So we come through though in our first race in Formula 1 in the double to go P8 here in Monaco. So we start off the day of the double with a fairly solid finish. Obviously, we're in a NASCAR. We're not going to be competitive enough to win races. Obviously, like in real life, by the time the season came to an end, they were probably the second worst team on the grid. So I was pretty happy, though, with that result. And now we get into Charlotte for the 600.
Coca-Cola 600. This event is the longest on the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series schedule. At 600 miles, it's a true test of endurance and patience. NASCAR racing is coming up next.
All right, thank you, Rick Allen. We're ready to go green here for the second half of the double at the Coca-Cola 600. Ty Dillon isn't nearly as fast as expected. Corey LaJoie failed optical scanning station multiple times, so obviously he is starting at the back, and it's Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch starting 1-2 on that front row now as we get ready to go green. Obviously, since we were in Monaco all weekend, we had to unfortunately miss qualifying and get ready to go green from the very back of the field along with Corey LaJoie as the green flag is up. The second half of the double with the Coca-Cola 600 is underway here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch leads the way down towards turns 1. You notice a big lighting change right there. That's still unfortunately in the game. When you're starting the daytime and it obviously transitions to night, the replays are always at basically the lighting of when the race finished. So in this first stage especially, you're going to notice quite a difference when we switch over to the little replay angles. Now as we go down this back straightaway, getting to the outside of Cody Ware as we went down into turns 3. Just trying to play it safe early on here. We got plenty of time. This is a special 4-stage race, so more than 3 stages in this one. So like I said, we got plenty of time. It's a 100-lap race to be exact here in Charlotte. And as we came through now on lap 3, at this point just slowly moving our way forwards, and sure enough we would climb up inside the top 30, passing William Byron, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Ryan Preece, Bubba Wallace, as well as I believe the 34 of Michael McDowell. So we climbed up inside the top 25, gotten up to Paul Menard down into the corner, and we would also be able to pass Paul Menard as well as we came through turns 1 and turns 2. So quickly now moving our way forwards after we kind of got away from those back markers, and we would continue climbing through the field as we came to the midway point or so of the first stage, passing Jimmy Johnson in his little patriotic camo paint scheme. Now as we came through turns 3 and out of turns 4, so taking P16. Like I said, we continue to climb forward. We passed Kyle Larson for 15th, and now passing Eric Jones for 14th as we went down towards turn 3, towards the now already the later stages of the stage. So just spending this whole first stage basically just making up the ground that obviously we had to give up due to missing qualifying from the Monaco situation. Now as we came through though on lap 17, there was actually some trouble. It was Kurt Busch who started in P2 blowing an engine, and that would group me right up to these guys that were running up in towards from 7th to 12th. So we passed Denny Hamlin, and then we would stick with these guys now on lap 19. As you see, the fuel icon though was on the screen, so we had to make our first green flag pit stops of the race. So we come in through into the pit lane here behind Ryan Blaney with Keselowski actually who got into my left rear there on the entrance of the pit lane. But I would take 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires. Usually the AI do that towards the end of stages, which is a little bit odd. You'd think they would take maybe just like a 2-tire stop or something, but they like to do 4 tires, so obviously that's what I did, as well as that will set us up very nicely, hopefully, for that second stage. So we exit just as Jamie McMurray's coming in to his pit box, and with a 15.1 second stop, we would come out just in front of Keselowski and cycle out pretty well here in this first stage as we came through now to the final lap, running P9 behind Tyler Reddick as we went down towards turn 3. Keselowski, though, had actually gone past me on those warm-up laps that we were getting back going. But Kevin Harvick, he would actually win the first stage, and we would come through to cross the line to get P9 here in stage 1. So after starting in 39th, due to missing qualifying, we climbed up to P9 in the first stage, so very happy with that. I was pretty confident at this point that we might have a good amount of speed going into this second stage. Obviously, this is the track where we got our first career win last season, so we know we can definitely win here today. Now, as we did take 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires, and we didn't lose any positions, thankfully. Now let's get ready to go green and start stage 2 here in the Coca-Cola 600. We are back underway for the second stage. Behind us, we got Jimmy Johnson and Joey Logano. In front, it's the 2 Penske drivers of Brad Keselowski and Ryan Blaney on the inside there as we go down into turns 1. You see Alex Bowman up here in the mix as well. Bowman has been the best driver for Hendrick Motorsports this season. Like I said before, he's having an incredible run so far. Obviously, he won last episode in Kansas, barely over Joey Logano as we blew a left rear tire trying to win that race. So that was a pretty spectacular finish, and Bowman was able to win it now as he's really been contending for wins for the last 3 to 5 races or so. He's been up there in each and every single one trying to win it. Now he's come through passing David Reagan. I believe he stayed out or took 2 tires, either one. And as we come through the center of the corner. So now up inside the top 5, my confidence was pretty high at this point as we went down this back straightaway. But Chase Elliott, he would get past me, and our car started actually falling off a little bit because Jimmy Johnson, he had gone past me as well, and so did Joey Logano. So all of a sudden, it doesn't seem like we have as good as a good of a car as I thought we did coming into this race, because Bowman goes by on the inside. As we're losing lots of track position on this outside lane. It would come in a little bit later in the run. Now it's came through though on lap 7 of 22 in the stage through turn 3 behind the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. At this point, there's a 12 up ahead of Ryan Blaney, goes spinning and up into the air he goes over top of Jimmy Johnson. A huge crash for Ryan Blaney through turns 3 and turns 4 as the caution flies. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a good angle of that in the replay to see the whole crash shake out, but my goodness, Ryan Blaney launched over top of the 48 car of Jimmy Johnson. Johnson drove straight under him. He might have got a piece of it because you see right there, Johnson has a terrible restart, and then unfortunately that messes my restart up, and I try to get out of the way of Hamlin, so I pull into the middle to allow Hamlin to go by on the inside, and then the 8 of Daniel Hemrick to go by on the outside. But what a scary moment there for Ryan Blaney. We almost drove under him ourselves too, and could have been easily collected, and then that certainly could have went very wrong very quick. There's when I saw him crashing, I tried to get to the outside. Thank goodness he didn't go up there as well, but unfortunate for Ryan Blaney. That was certainly a huge crash for him, and not a good restart for us there, as I actually got into the wall there on the exit of turn 4, battling side by side with the 8 of Daniel Hemrick. There's our teammate of Eric Almirola joins the party now as we go down into this first corner. Kyle Busch leading the way at this point. Like I said, the longer the run goes, like the more the tires wear, the outside lane was definitely able to work. Now was actually make a bit of a mistake there on lap 13 out of turns 4. I got loose and hit the wall, and that certainly messed us up a bit because now it's come through on lap 17 to 22 trying to rebound here in the second stage, running P14. At this point, now is now behind us. The 3 of Austin Dillon has gone spinning, and we have another crash here through turns 3 and turns 4 as the caution would come out there. That was just a few positions behind us, but this would at least group us up to the cars in front of us as we came to the pit lane for 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires, and this would set us up for a 2-lap dash here to decide stage 2, as we might have a chance to get back into the stage point. So stage 2 quite hasn't gone our way, unfortunately, but hopefully we can find a way into the top 10 here within these final 2 laps of the stage. David Reagan stayed out at that caution right there, just like he did at the beginning of stage 2. Now as we came through, though, on the final lap, just continuing to run the bottom, we had actually gotten up inside the top 10 as we were behind David Reagan down this back straightaway for the final time, and I decided to give William Byron a bit of a break, and then I decided, you know what, we're going to actually try and help William Byron here, get whatever points he can get, because we know he's still fighting to make that playoff grid now as we're going to come through down this front straightaway, pushing Byron across the line, and I think he got P7, it was, just over Martin Truex Jr., so I was happy to help William. Obviously, I want to see William Byron in the playoffs, and he was running pretty comfortably in the playoffs, or in the top 16, at least in the first part of the season, but the last couple races haven't really gone William Byron's way, and now he's starting to drop down the grid, so I decided, you know what, we're just going to help William Byron there. So now we, though, get ready to start the third stage here of 4 in the Coca-Cola 600, so not the final stage. We still got 2 more to go, as we're now at least halfway through the Coca-Cola 600. As stage 3 though is underway here in Charlotte. Truex on the inside as our teammate Kevin Harvick gets to my left hand side as well. As we go through the center of the corners, Kyle Busch and Tyler Reddick running P1 and P2. Reddick still looking for career win number 1. He had a great chance to get his first career win at Homestead, Miami last season. Then I ended up turning him in the final corner. I still feel pretty bad about that one. Certainly if I could have that race back, I would not have made that move on Tyler Reddick. I certainly regretted that, but obviously we can't change what happened in that race now as we come to completing this opening lap of the third stage, here in the Coca-Cola 600, as Chase Elliott though has taken the lead from Kyle Busch now as he came through the center of the corner. So can Chase Elliott go through to get win number 1 on the season? Last season I think he had 2 or 3 wins in our career mode. One of those tracks being Bristol Motor Speedway, where he got his first win of the season, and obviously this season so far winless for the 9 of Chase Elliott, but we came through now on lap 5 of 22 in the stage. The front guys up ahead had kind of pulled away from us, but we passed William Byron, and now you see me on lap 13 of 22 running that top lane and making it work. I was really close to the wall there, and I loved it. As soon as I could get to the top, I was all about driving up towards that wall, though as we came through on lap 16 of 22 in the third stage, we had to actually come through to make our second green flag pit stops of this event here in the Coca-Cola 600. Alex Bowman actually stayed out and would come through to lead the lap, but once again it was 2 cans of fuel, 4 tire pit stop. Pretty straightforward, but as we were in our pit box, the caution comes out, and to my advantage, my pit box is all the way down at the end of the pit lane, so I was ahead of all the guys that had came in. So we're going to actually be leading this race when the restart goes live here. So all of a sudden we find ourselves leading alongside Chase Elliott, and we only had a couple of laps left in the stage at this point, so all of a sudden we have a chance to win stage 3 here in the Coca-Cola 600 now as the green flag is back out. It is only 2 laps to go. Elliott on my outside, Keselowski and Kyle Busch on that second row behind us, as now we're going to do everything we can to get, I think, our first stage win of the season. Somehow still haven't won a stage. We've got 10 playoff points obviously after winning Bristol and then going back to back after getting another win at Richmond Raceway. Now was Keselowski though up to P2. It wasn't a good restart for the 9 of Chase Elliott at all as we go down into turns 3 through the center of the corner, approaching the final lap here in this third stage. Certainly would be nice if this was the third and final stage at this point, because we'd be 1 lap away from getting win number 3 on the season in our second Coca-Cola 600 in just 2 Coca-Cola 600 starts, but obviously that's not going to be the case here. We're just fighting for a stage victory. Harvick, our teammate, trying to put the pressure on, as I'm going to go a little bit defensive on both Keselowski, Harvick, Elliott. He's gotten back up into the picture now as we go down into turn 3. He's going to make it 3 wide for the second position. The Hendrick Motorsports driver getting very aggressive, and he's going to make it work as he puts the pressure on me even almost as we exit turn 4, but it's not going to be enough as we come through to win stage 3, our first stage victory of the season, which adds another playoff point for us. Like I said, we really got to work on building those playoff points up here in the regular season, because that's really what bit us last season in that round of 8 especially, but no one did come to the pit lane, so we would come through to start the 4th and final stage here in the Coca-Cola 600 from P1. Last season at the Coca-Cola 600, we got robbed of a couple stage victories, obviously won the race, but this time we would actually steal a stage victory here in the Coca-Cola 600, so very happy with that, as the 4th and final stage, though, is underway. A little bit over 20 laps to go here in Charlotte now, as Harvick is right on our back bumper. Kevin Harvick still looking for win number 1 on the season. We are the only Stewart-Haas Racing team with a victory now, as Harvick though trying to get to my left rear, as he does actually get into my left rear as we go down into turn 3, so now we have to give him the space now as we're side by side with our teammate of Kevin Harvick, but he breezes on past now as this outside lane just does not work unfortunately on the short run. Now as Kyle Busch is side by side as well, as going to go for a quick crank it up here in the Coca-Cola 600.
Hold your line, got 1 inside. Road clear. Hold your line, got 1 inside. All right, you're clear. Still there, inside.
Alright, there was your crank it up here in Charlotte. We would continue trying to run this top lane now as we had actually came through with 17 to go. The caution had come out here, and obviously this would set us up for a restart with probably about 14 or so laps. I decided to take 4 tires on this pit stop. I was actually contemplating taking 2, and then I decided that 4 would probably be the best, because usually AI take 2 in a situation that's close with this, but I decided on 4. Thankfully, it was the right call. The AI take 4 tires, and we get ready to go green for what could be the final restart here in Charlotte as the green flag is back up. Keselowski and Truex behind us, Tyler Reddick on my inside, Harvick and Bowman on that second row, and it's Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch on that front row. Elliott, a future superstar of NASCAR, Kyle Busch, a current superstar of NASCAR, as we come through turns 1 and on the exit of turn 2, heading down this back straightaway side by side with the 2 on my left front, Truex on my left rear, as we are just putting the pressure on Alex Bowman down into turn 3. Been stuck on the top on these restarts quite a bit here today in Charlotte, and that certainly hurt us on these restarts. Now as Jimmy Johnson's trying to get into the battle, as well as Johnson had a top 10, I think 2 races in a row now is coming into Charlotte, so he's certainly starting to pick it up a little bit now as a caution, though, with 10 laps to go, would come back out here in Charlotte, so now this would set us up for a restart with less than 10 to go here, probably 8 or so, as we get ready to go green once again, right back into the action. No pit stops necessary. The green flag is back out, and it doesn't look like it's going to be a Coca-Cola 600 victory for us tonight, because the car did not go on the restart at all, and I think it was because I was on the back bumper of Alex Bowman when the caution came out, because it seems like when your car is touching another car, when the caution comes over after it's out, you have a terrible restart the next time around, and unfortunately that has just happened to us here tonight in Charlotte on what's probably going to be the final restart for sure this time, as we're on the outside of Kyle Larson through turns 3. Very unfortunate timing to have something like that happen, but Kevin Harvick, he would be leading the way. We had actually been able to run down these cars in front of us now as we passed William Byron and gotten right to Alex Bowman as we came through turns 1 and turns 2, so we're getting at least back into the fight now as we head down this back straightaway on the outside of the 24. And now as we came out of turns 4, contact with Bowman at this point coming to just 2 to go, back inside the top 10 now as we head down towards turns 1. Now as we got Hamlin and P9 running that middle lane, the same as Keselowski as we come through the center of the corner. Elliott had fallen back a little bit. He's not in the contention for the win, but you see we got into the wall there out of turns 2 and then overcorrected again back into it, and then all of a sudden our chances of a top 10 just get wiped now as Blaney tries to put on the pressure through turns 3, but we hang on to it now as our teammate, though, Kevin Harvick, leads away coming to the white flag. So unfortunate there as I just completely bend it through turns 2. I just got up in the wall, and obviously you have to tug on the wheel a little bit to get it off the wall, and as soon as I tugged off, I just got loose, and then I just overcorrected back into the wall. Thankfully it stayed green because I didn't want to risk ruining Kevin Harvick, our teammate's race, because down this back straightaway you can see we're still closing in, at least on William Byron in this group of cars, but we're too far back as we go down into turn 3. We send it in pretty deep and we hit apron sideways as we go, but we hang on to it, and Kevin Harvick, though, would come through to get win number 1 on the season, and he will win the Coca-Cola 600 for the first time since 2011, I believe, now as we would come through to finish in P13. I don't know if Kevin Harvick has any other Coca-Cola 600 victories, but I might be wrong on that one other than the 2011 one when he passed Dale Jr., but leave a comment if he has another one other than that. But unfortunate finish for us. P13, that's 3 straight races without a top 10, unfortunately, after I said long day for sure. Happy to do well in F1 in Monaco, but tonight at Charlotte we struggled a bit. Unfortunately, we obviously got a stage victory, which was certainly nice, but just didn't have the speed like we did last season. Obviously, that's the track we got our first career win at, so unfortunate that we've gone 3 straight races without a top 10. But as always, if you guys did enjoy this episode, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Those would all be very appreciated. In the next one, we go to Pocono, so we might go 4 straight races without a top 10, and that would be unfortunate. I don't think we've done that in quite some time, so we're going to certainly see how that shakes up. It's been probably since the regular season of last season since we've done that many races without a top 10. But anyways, I will see you guys in the next one for the Tricky Triangle at Pocono. Thank you for watching, everyone, and have yourselves a great day.